Welcome back. Here we are with the Kubota RTV 900 2004. I wasn't going to film this because I'm actually embarrassed with this setup, but this is what I have to work with. So, you know, guys, what you got to use is what you got to use. I'm only reason I'm even videotaping this is to coincide with my first video telling you how you can take this engine out without removing the transmission and rear end without any problem. And you know, there wasn't. It pretty much fell out on me when I lifted it up on an angle with the transmission. Like I said, undo the transmission bolts, the 4 transmission bolts, put a jack under the tranny, tip it this way, undo your bell housing bolts, and the motor will just fall right out towards the front. That was literally, I don't know, half hour, 40-minute job. I was concerned about getting it in because of the angles and stuff like that, but it went in just as easy. I'm here by myself with no help. Wasn't looking forward to it. Stuff's falling in my garage. Maybe I don't know, a ghost helping me. But anyway, yeah, I'm all by myself here. Put this thing in. With getting the tractor up here, rigging up this gaff setup the way I have it, and getting it into place again, a half hour, man. And as you can see, plenty of room in there. Slid right in on an angle. I lowered the bucket that, you know, obviously I lowered the motor, let's say. I lowered the motor a little bit, lowered the tranny a little bit, lowered the motor a little bit, lowered the tranny. And just like you're doing a car or any other type of bell housing, even though that this is in now and flush, when this is, as you're trying to center it, once you got it started, it's great. But even regardless, once you get it started, you want to keep the distance between your transmission and the back of your motor even, so nothing jams going in. If you're trying to get the engine in a different angle of the transmission, there are different angles. Even if you started, you're going to do damage or have a problem. Always keep this distance between the tranny and the starter plate or the back of your motor even, from the top to the bottom. If it's not even, adjust it. That's why I said I went down. Once I had the tranny up on an angle like this, I had the engine up on an angle like this. You can see it's still at the front. I had it on an angle to get it started. Once I got this started, and the pilot shaft or whatever you call it on these transmissions, I'm not sure the proper term. Once you got that started, the motor is still in front of that round tube where everybody says you can't get by, which is plenty of room, like I said, because you're on an angle. Once that's started, you let the transmission jack down just a little bit. Like I said, the 4 bolts are out of your transmission, so the transmission goes up and down. I'll show you me letting the transmission down in a minute because it's still up. As you can see, the motor is in it. The motor's in all the way. Everything's flush, and the motor's up a good 4 inches still. So if I wanted to pull this back out, all I had to do is get a pry bar in there, go forward with the engine, and it would slide right out with no problem. I just slid it in here by myself, and I'm going to show you letting the drop of this down, and I'm hoping the transmission bolts even line up. They lined up by accident when I let this thing down as I was working on it. But anyway, I'm going to, man, I wish I had a way to show you guys at the same time here. So I got to let this motor down because there's still tension on it, and the tranny at the same time. I guess I'll just do it while I'm walking with the camera. Anyway, those bolts are all lined up there, as you can see, pretty much as far as left, forward, and backwards. But I just got to go down with this now. So what I'm going to do is get a few bolts. I'm going to go off camera, get a few bolts in the transmission bell housing. That way it stays lined up with me, stays tight. And then I can go down with the transmission jack, my floor jack really, and I can go down with the engine lift. Be right back. All right, here we are back. I've got the 3 bell housing bolts on this side snugged up, 3 on the other side. I'll get the 2 bottom. They're all the same size. The bottom 2 underneath the RTV are longer. Those are the only 2 bolts that are a different size on this thing. So now what I'm going to do is see how much tension's on here. I'm going to go down with the transmission because the transmission would be the better thing to go down with, so you don't have all the weight of the jack that's on the transmission. If I let the motor down, you have all the motor weight forward. I don't want to have all the weight like that. So I'm going to try and do this gently with just one hand. This is going to go down just a little bit. All right, I don't want too much pressure on that. Now we're going to go down with the engine. You can see how much farther off we are with them bolts, about 4 inches, maybe 3 inches. Get this out of the way. Right. This out of the way. All right, I'm sorry for this lousy, terrible camera work here. Just want to show that I'm not trying to play any tricks with this engine thing here. This works. This works no problem. Okay. We went down. I have so many things rigged up because I'm working alone. I got the cylinder wired to the bucket. I can't make sure this catches. Now let's see how much further out we are. All right. We're lined up as far as forward and backwards. It's going to come down more. But, all right, there's no tension on this. So all the tension's on the jack on the tranny. So we want to get rid of that tension. Hey, stupid compressor. Sorry. All right, after everybody jumped out of their seat because of the compressor kicking on, I just left the pressure down on the tranny jack, so it's all on the engine now. So what I'm going to do is let down. Let's see how far. I'll show you again how far away we are. It's perfectly lined up, forward and backwards, which is good because my tranny will be lined up. Go down very easy. Just went down a couple inches. I don't know if it rests in its final spot or you got to go up and down with it. I'm not sure. Anyway, focus. Hey, you can see that we got to go down a little bit more, and then we should be able to get a dowel in those holes. We're just about lined up now. This is enough that you need to see. I just want to show that there's nothing crazy going on with this thing. There's no camera tricks. This motor, just so people know, 2004 RTV 900. The motor comes out with no problem, absolutely no problem, without taking a transmission or rear end off, which saves a lot of shitload of work for people. So everybody that's doing an engine, man, don't be afraid to pull your engine. If you got to work on it, you got to do anything. It's literally it's a 40-minute job, man. It's a 40-minute job with one person. You can do it. Anyway, be back with updates. Thanks for watching.